I am the new way to go. I am the way of the future. I am the new way to go. I am the way of the future.
There's a lot of innocent people being crucified.
Hey, it's Patricia Ann Landon Regali, Chief Little Flower, coming at you from the privacy, the safety, and the sanctuary of my beautiful cousin Lauren and her very beautiful estate and sanctuary here in North Carolina. So, how's it going, everybody? What's up? Are we fighting the good fight? Are we weathering the storm? Because that's what we're called to do. You know, what was ever thrown at me, I've always done my best to keep my head up, keep my chin up, and look to the sky. My mama always taught me that. She said, every day you wake up, you have to pray. You have to pray because when you serve the light, when you serve God, the enemy is going to want to derail you. So she said, before you even get up out of bed, before your feet even touch the floor to pray, you know, and as an adolescent and such, I'm all like, okay. But, you know, now that I'm grown to the experiences that I have weathered, I'm just so grateful that I had been raised by a very faith-filled woman who watched her talk and who had been a believer as well of the Most High. So I realized the advantage that I have because I was born into a life of faith, and also as a believer of the paranormal and the such. It wasn't that I ever hit a stage of awakening to that. I was born awakened to that. But awakening to the inherent disposition I am as a reincarnate, that has been a walk. But I will say this. No matter what happened, I'd always felt like I subscribed to that promotion comes from the Most High. And no matter what had been thrown at me, I was always going to remain steadfast that even if man overlooked me, promotion comes from the Most High, especially in the sense of a employer in a workhouse environment, you know, because I'm very cognizant and sentient that it doesn't always work out in the favor of ethics, especially in this day and age. I would imagine there's favor given to those who are sellouts of ethics. I've seen it in the workhouses. I have witnessed it in the workhouses. Put a pin in it, come back to that later. But nonetheless, you know, I made a pact with myself when I re-entered the workforce because, you know, I had actually entered the industry of EMS about the age of 25. And, you know, went back to school and got my EMT basic and entered the workforce. And then whenever I had gotten married and then became a stay-home mom, I was very, very blessed and very gracious for that. Timothy Regali was a wonderful provider. He was a very wonderful provider that made sure that he took care of the family on a economic level. did very good. And so I was very gracious to be a stay-at-home mom. So whenever I re-entered the workforce, I made a pact with myself that no matter what happened, I would always seek to remain steadfast that promotion comes from the Most High, and that my work ethic would never waver simply because anybody recognized it or didn't recognize it. So, for instance, whenever we'd get back to the station on the ambulance after getting slammed with calls, when we were so very tired, and I loved the EMS employer where I feel like cut my teeth as a paramedic at, because their standards of expectation were very high, and they were always very welcoming to hear us. The district operation manager who hired me, he said, "Patricia, the ventilation machines can be learned. The cardiac monitors can be learned, perfected. But what they wanted was somebody who had ethics and virtue and who was easy to work with." Because he said that if they had one rotten apple in the barrel, it would spoil the disposition of the entire crew. So we can teach you this and fine-tune you on that, but if you didn't come in with a good heart, there was no need for you. And I was like, wow, having a good attitude really meant a lot. So when I found this EMS agency, I found my workhouse. And this was the place where I had raised my children as a paramedic, because going through my paramedic school, that took a lot of grit and determination, not just for me, but for my children as well. And I would be very gracious to share that another time. And then so whenever I re-entered the workforce, I felt like a kid out of high school, trying to get into employment. But before I got there, I always made that pact with myself that I recognized that promotion comes from the Most High, not man. And so whenever we'd get back to the station and we were really tired, I always put my back into making sure units were cleaned, units were restocked. And so I would have to say towards the end of my tenure as a paramedic, I had been removed from my former glory because I was being railed and targeted very hard on the clock at facilities and the such. So tell me, what kind of demeanor is a targeted individual supposed to have with being graceful under fire in a walk all alone while being psychologically abused and battered? That's where I was. So, but in the beginning and throughout the heyday of my work tenure as a paramedic, I always knew that promotion came from the Most High. So whenever we get back to the station and we clean our units, I would clean my unit. And I recognized that, time has a way to wither and change and morph. And so no matter what happened in the management, I would always do what I was called to do. And then so, this is what happened when I first was on the job. I got a call from the district operations manager who was very on point. Something happened, he was on it. Something needed to be taken care of, he was on it. And so you couldn't skate by without this man following up with, what's going on here? So what happened was that I got a call, and he had said that somebody reported to him that there was a used catheter, IV catheter with blood on the floor. And I'm all like, first off, I washed that floor myself. I knew how I left my truck. I've been very consistent about it. So when I got this call as a new paramedic at that particular agency, I knew there was foul play about that. So, I don't know. I mean, now that I have experienced much, I see what happened there. That was an orchestrated movement that somebody had accepted a bribe for reporting bare false witness on me. I didn't see that at the time. All I knew was that that was erroneous. So I took a step back, and did my best to stand up for myself. But now I knew that my reputation of my ethics had been compromised unethically. So, but you know what? I shrugged it off, washed my hands, prayed on it, and gave it to the Most High, and just kept on keeping on. And I would remain consistent through every storm that the politics brought in to the workhouse, into the workforce, and just kept my nose to the grindstone. And then so over time, and I've been lied on unmercilessly in the past, but again, I just had to wash my hands and give it to God, shrug it off, shake it off, and keep on keeping on with my consistency. So this is what happened. Over time, your actions, your countenance speaks for yourself. And those that lie, they end up hanging themselves with enough rope. So then those who were in control of said employment, they got a clue. They got a clue. And what happened was, whenever it came time for me to move on from a particular employer, they didn't want to see me go. Because I brought a sense of joy to the atmosphere. I brought a sense of ambiance to the atmosphere. My presence never brought the atmosphere down. And, my one employer was so very beautiful and kind. He said, Patricia, what anybody really wants is somebody pleasant to work with. And I finally recognized that. And then so whenever somebody had been unethical towards me for jealousy or for whatever reason, promotion comes from the Most High. Now, there had been another agency who was running unethical practices as an agency, who threw me under the bus. That was a very shady ambulance company. But now look who's being under the microscope of scrutiny. I spoke up and spoke out about it to the best of my ability. And I just had to, shrug it off and give it to the Most High. Because promotion comes from Him. Promotion comes from the Most High. So when people were busy, when I had experiences of people lying on me, you just gotta let it shrug off. Do your best to stand up for yourself. But sometimes when you're under fire so often, the only thing you can do is just keep your nose to the grindstone and just keep on keeping on. And that's what I've had to do. So now I come to the partition in my life to where I know that I am being promoted by the very hand of the Most High. So everybody who had done unethical practices on me, you better make sure that you report all of the deficits and all of the injustice and what your part in it and who you collaborated with. Make your videos, upload them to YouTube. That way you can't get snuffed out so easily. And then make your registered letters to the appropriate authorities so you have your paper trail. And then go speak with the appropriate authorities. Because once I'm promoted by the Most High, that becomes a never. Wish I should have done it. Becomes a window of opportunity that you just might never ever get back. Same. So at this particular vicissitude in my life, why has no judicial seen fit to dispatch anybody ethical to come bridge the ambiguity of all of the crimes that have been committed against me with some truth? I've been a very dedicated, integrity-filled paramedic serving the community, especially during COVID. And nobody has seen fit to come bridge the gap yet. But there are the treason circuit with those ingrates who have been running game on me. If people can find where I exist at, I know you can find some way to dispatch integrity-filled public servants to come bridge the ambiguity with truth. I mean, at this time, how come there's still squatters in my domicile? How come there's still squatters in my inheritance and I have not been bridged with the truth already to what is rightfully mine? Again, the longer that I am homeless, technically I am homeless. This home does not belong to me. I have been granted the gift of reprieve, but I still intend to return to the world, but with my rightful place in it. At this time, there's no way I can go out into the world at large and then seek employment without the resolve, without the word that I will not be gang-stalked, that I will not be targeted, and that this miscreants will not come sideways with their psychotic zets or something. So I have to protect myself because nobody else is. And I'm not saying there are no collaborative components of the universe working in my favor, but where the fuck are you? Why am I living without my inheritance? That is not my special niche in life. I'm looking to the ethical judicial of the world to be the mover and shaker to get me into a rescue position of the sanctuary of my own funds. And so when the Most High has to step in by whatever way that happens, everybody who have had the accountability to not abuse the position of authority by exercising their ethical accountability, you all will be so picked apart. Because at the time of this recording, like I said, I have still been exorcised. I have still been psychologically abused and battered by those close to me. Because they're still trying to crack the $1 billion piñata for their materialistic gain. Isn't that right, handlers? You know I love you. But you do have to hit reset. And if you don't, that's on you. I am a gift in the 5D to help you see the error of your ways. Because before I came on board, how many lives have you already destructed and destroyed before I got there? You're much better than that. You shouldn't be training others to follow in those footsteps, because that legacy will be demolished by the very hand of the Most High. I love you. But for everybody who has continued to participate in the Truman Show of my life, you all will be picked apart like cadavers on a barren brimstone land with vultures rifling through the sockets of your eyes. So whenever you find yourself keeping your nose to the grindstone and it doesn't feel like anything is shaking up, that's where your character is being hastened. That's where you're being brought to the fire to learn your walk with the universe, with the Most High. I mean, I must respect if you're an atheist. That's okay. That's okay. Because you can subscribe to the collective, collaborative components of the universe. But once you find that, I challenge you. You will find your walk with the Most High, but you don't have to seek it. And I respect your difference in evolution. So, I still am waiting for somebody ethical to show up on my doorstep. And if you have been working on my case, and you are a person of wealth, why are you just leaving me out here without even a helping hand to get me to a safety and sanctuary free of the Zetsursung? Instead of have to vie every day I wake up. What kind of shitstorm are they planning this time that I have to survive? I mean, if you are a person of wealth and you know for damn sure somebody is treading water and you just used your wealth just for yourself, how is that altruistic? I mean, because I do have an inheritance and you would get your pences back. But if you can't even offer me a leg up, then you are as selfish as the rest of these goddamn gang-stalking, gold-digging grubbers. Dick Tracy, number 1, 2, and 3, you all had wealth of your own, and then you used it to gang-stalk me, to gold-dig me. So you can get even richer from the wealth that you even started from. So, turnaround is fair play. At the time of this recording, I'm going on 5 years straight of being manhandled by the goddamn Auschwitz 2.0 in this treasonous circuit known as targeting of the individual that is a satanically nationwide, global-wide sacrifice circuit for energy harvesting, for satanic sacrifice and demonic prizes, for sudden wealth payouts through life insurance scam policies, and for organ harvesting just to watch somebody circle the drain into their own demise. How many snuff films do we have on record? That's the real question here. So, if you are aware of my case, and you have the finances to offer me a loan, please do. I'd like to get on with my life for reals already. And I importune everybody that is aware of my case, bring me my evidence. Get me into my life and my own inheritance already. Because why are there still swine squatting in my bank account? Why are there still swine squatting with my creative brain children? Did you guys see the white Iron Maiden? I can replicate that and produce that with witnesses. I'm not a one-shot Johnny. Why have I not done it already? Well, because my electronics are constantly raped and pillaged. Why would I do any of that kind of work on my electronics, knowing that there hasn't even been a goddamn ethical public servant dispatched to me to bring me the truth of my own case already? So when we look at day for day, brick for brick that I have had to eat, rise up above with grace under fire, well, if turnaround can be juiced up with my request at 100,000-fold, as long as it is within the perfect will of the Most High and the perfect will of karma, I mean, I forgive you all. But what if we just whittled it down to times 10? I'm 4 years going on 5. And if you times that by 10, that's 40 years that you get to enjoy Zetzer Sung for you in the 5D. What if it was 5 years times 10? That means each of you participating in it who have done nothing to deliver me into the sanctuary of truth, to bridge ambiguity with the evidence of what was going on in my life, behind my back, to my face, on the down low. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? That would be 50 years for each of you. 50. So I would get cracking, because beware the Ides of March. What are the Ides of March? We'll look it up. In the end, it was Caesar who was brought to his knees with death. So when you consider yourself into the equation of beware the Ides of March, that means every particular constituent participating in all of the Zetzer Sung, not just me, but all of the targeted individuals, you all are slated for death. Because you all are playing with people's lives as if you had a right to. So you better get your spiritual papers in order. Because at the time of this recording, there has been no replacements made on my gift registry. There has been no orders received, no orders placed, no Cash App donations, no new emails. And there's been a lot of destruction and chaos and conflict orchestrated into my life, because when you did that, what you did was you practically were one of the people who opened up the seal of King Tutankhamun's tomb himself. What happened to them? Well, they all died. That's what you all did. By coming at me, trying to steal something that never belonged to your bloodline. And then the public servants that had the right, had the accountability to right the wrongs. Where the fuck are you? Come on now. How about you get right with yourselves while you still can? So, at the time of this recording, it has been Patricia and Landon Regali coming at you from the privacy, the safety, and the beloved sanctuary of my sweet cousin Lori and her estate here in North Carolina. Bye for now.